So if you're interested in that, it gives a beautiful picture of like where all the Japanese holdouts were. That's for sure. People would be surprised at how many men were hiding out in all sorts of parts of the Asia Pacific.
Was it there like a soldier who did not surrender for like 30 years on Guam?
Yeah, so I think the last one was at Oda. It was like 75. He came out. Although even in the I have only limited time on those podcasts because it becomes too long if I put too many notes. But I don't know if I said it in it, but people were alluded to, oh yeah, he wasn't aware that the war was over. He actually totally knew the war was over. He admitted to it years after he had come back to Japan. He had been like fighting farmers and stealing their livestock for like 30 years, and he knew. He was afraid he was gonna have to face trials for war crimes and stuff. But
So he
yeah,
just became a bandit.
yeah, there's a bunch of them that was actually the case, and they would just pretend that they had no idea that the war was over. Yeah, but it was bullshit. But yeah, back to the story at hand. With these reinforcements, Homa now hoped. I mean, he probably prayed to overcome the defenders of Bataan. And at this critical moment, President Roosevelt went on to order General MacArthur to relocate from Corregidor to Australia. Yes. In actuality, it was Army Chief of Staff General Marshall's decision to do so, and it stemmed from Australian Prime Minister John Curtin. Eisenhower himself had argued that MacArthur was expendable, which is kind of funny if you think about it. Eisenhower had served under this guy. So, anyways, he knew what MacArthur was like. So, Eisenhower thought that MacArthur was expendable, but Marshall reconsidered and concluded the capture or the death of MacArthur would provide the Japanese Empire with one of the most potent propaganda campaigns of all time. And I completely agree with him.
Um, I do get, and it's a bit crazy actually for Eisenhower to say that because at
Yeah.
this particular moment, his official rank is still a colonel. He does not even reach the rank of major general as a permanent commission till 1943. He gets promoted to general, lieutenant general, major general, brigadier general, like up to the 4 stars on a temporary basis, but his formal commission is still that of a colonel at this moment in time.
Yeah. And
And
I like
it's a big thing to say that about a pretty senior commander.
and one that you served under, mind you. But to explain to the audience who might not be aware, you got to imagine, like for a moment, MacArthur has been in front of cameras. He's been reading propaganda pieces. I mean, it's like it would be insane. Like imagine the Japanese got their hands on him. Like today, we could think of it as ISIS or another terrorist organization getting their hands on a prominent member of the Senate or Congress in the United States, and they would have them like reading these things and these videos and all that. Like it would for MacArthur to be in that position, it would have been insane. And the Japanese absolutely would have done it. They did it with multiple other captured personnel. Arthur,
And this was a general who was very popular with the masses in the United States, and he did have a lot of political ambition.
yeah,
And that
of
is
course.
the only reason Roosevelt was never able to get rid of him because we know Roosevelt did not like him.
Oh yeah, they hate each other.
But
Yeah,
he knew he could not get rid of him quite easily, and it took quite a lot. And I would even I'd say this: it took quite a bit of political maneuvering in the Korean War to get rid of him by the Joint Chiefs.
yeah. It took one interesting decision on MacArthur's part to finally get canned. Let's say that much. A sea of nuclear waste, MacArthur. But yeah, as I've painfully already done too many times, I'm always seen as that YouTuber who just shits on MacArthur. The reality was, MacArthur, he had failed on numerous occasions during the Japanese invasion of the Philippines. Like, this is really like a blemish to his career. But from the American public's point of view, he had emerged as like a rock star, some kind of godlike figure. And if he would have fell into Japanese hands, it would have been disastrous on the home front for morale for the troops. The new military and geopolitical significance of Australia could also not be overlooked. What if the Australians considered, an arrangement with Japan? This idea wasn't entirely far-fetched, given that Prime Minister John Curtin was evident in his anger towards Churchill, criticizing him for abandoning Australia pretty much in this situation. At this stage, America had not fully committed itself to Australia, and Britain's incompetence was becoming, increasingly concerning. As one Australian officer lamented at the time, the British Army had been forced back by a small Japanese army of only 2 divisions, riding stolen bicycles and without artillery support. Obviously, referring to the Malayan
Bicycle
campaign
blitzkrieg,
under General
folks.
Yamashita, the bicycle blitzkrieg. So, yeah, relocating MacArthur to Australia might serve to bolster Australia's commitment to the war, and definitely don't want MacArthur to fall into the hands of the Japanese. Others, too, were vocal about the necessity of rescuing MacArthur. Both the Republican Party in the United States and the New York Times urged for MacArthur's return from Corregidor. And to delve just a bit deeper, it's worth noting that MacArthur, from the onset of the war, was using his personal press entourage to cultivate his image, a tactic motivated by his aspirations for the White House. Initially, however, MacArthur resisted calls to relocate, claiming that rather than obeying the president, he would resign his position, cross over to Bataan, and fight alongside the men. Something he would absolutely say. He might have. He would. I'm not gonna say he wasn't a brave man. Yeah, if he wanted to go out, he'd probably go out like that. But he also knew that wasn't the best course of action right now. So he was going to escape. On March the 10th, General Wainwright would be summoned to Corregidor. But before I carry on anymore, did you have anything to say about General Wainwright?
Yeah, just one moment. So, General Jonathan Wainwright, he was the commander of the North Luzon forces. So, you could call him like he was the guy just reporting just under MacArthur in the planned defense of the Philippines. His initial defense force was on paper pretty large, which was 3 Filipino divisions and the 26th Cavalry Regiment. He, was a strong supporter of the War Plan Orange, but not MacArthur's active defense, which is what led to the mishaps that occurred at the start of the Philippine campaign. And he would be withdrawing to the Bataan Peninsula in January 1942 to defend the entrance to Manila Bay. And he's going to be serving as a Supreme Commander now. I mean, sorry, I spoiled it for you, Greg, but of the theater, because MacArthur is going to be taking over, like, go to Australia, where he'll become the commander of the Southwest Pacific area, and then prepare to fight his next enemy, the United States Navy.